Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and welcome to the first upbeat live stream in quite a while. Chelsea have won a game of football. No, you're not hearing things. Chelsea have won. We scored a goal. We've actually won a match. Beaten Leeds 1-0 at Stamford Bridge thanks to Wesley Fofana's header 7 minutes into the second half. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. But we don't care. A win's a win. We've been waiting so long for a win since January 15th against Crystal Palace. I've not been counting the days or anything like that. That has been the last time we won a game. And we've matched our goal tally from last month at the first time of asking.
Already?
So some might say progress. And we've definitely got a goal of the month winner for March. So, think things are on the up. But yeah, the most important thing today, joking aside, was the win. The performance wasn't pretty. I like the fact we reverted to the back three. I think that suits us a lot better. We've been calling for that for a while now, so it was nice to finally see that, even if perhaps it was due to injury circumstances. But at the end of the day, a win's a win. It's another 3 points. It's must needed, and it's small steps, Not everything was perfect today. It's not going to be. We've been on a shit run. I don't actually feel we played that much better than we have in some of the losses. But today, we managed to get a goal. And the luck went our way in terms of the chances that we did give up. The opposition in Leeds couldn't convert them. So, we're not going to get too carried away, but it's nice to enjoy this winning feeling again. I mean, Ollie, how did you see it, mate? I mean, I don't think we can look too much into it. It was just we won. That's great, but the bigger picture, nothing's particularly changed.
Yeah, I think that's the important way to look at it. It's not like a win changes anything, but what it does do is it certainly sort of improves the mood music around the club. Like I think, can you imagine how negative and toxic it would have been all over social media if we hadn't won today? It would have been terrible. So it's important to recognise that we've still got a lot of the same problems, even without being on a losing run. But actually, winning a game does help because it if anything, it gives time for some issues to be resolved, rather than calling for the manager's head every single game. I'm not personally, like, even after today, I'm not all that convinced that Potter is the man for the job. If it were up to me, I think I'd still sack him. But it's not up to me. It's up to your new best friend, best friends, Bowley and Egg.
Yeah, me and Todd, mate. To be honest, mate, there could be a space on the board for me now. I've met them both today.
You should have said they are looking for the fan advisory people, aren't they?
They are. I should have said, mate.
Should have said something.
Should have said something. But no, I agree, mate. It doesn't necessarily change much, but it's really important going into a big week for the club. The second leg against Dortmund on Tuesday.
Good for the mood, the players will be well up for it on Wednesday. And what I really did like, and what I think will carry over, is that actually it looked like everyone really tried today. And that were, and the fact that we've been on such a losing run, and I don't think they've always been fully trying. And so they've tried today, won today. That'll carry over. Like, if they know if to win, they have to try. Yeah.
I mean, and this is the thing as well. Like, you could sense the relief at full time that we actually won. It was like, obviously everyone was pleased, but I think it's also a massive sense of relief as well, because you can't imagine the pressure that obviously Potter under, that the players are under. Every week they're going out and they're like, we keep losing. That's big pressure today. So yeah, we've come through that. I mean, mate, were you impressed that actually there was a bit of fight today for a change? It looked like that, even though we were 0-0 at half time, we'd missed some chances, some good ones at that as well, that actually we dug in the second half and we showed a little bit of desire, a little bit of passion, a little bit of fight that has been missing for a lot of the recent games. That for me was a plus to see that.
Do you know, it seemed. So we had a good first half, and I was very pleased with the first half because I thought we played quite well. I think there were a lot of people who were very harsh, including some people in the ground, actually, that were being very harsh on the first half performance. I thought it was very good. We just didn't get anything out of it. But when we came out for the second half, and the intensity looked the same, and the effort looked the same, because recently in the second half, we've dropped off massively in a lot of our games, and it wasn't like that today. We really saw, like, from the off, there was the same intensity and the same push like there was before. So, and ultimately it led to a goal. So, and ultimately the win. So I'm very pleased that it seems that, the effort's really being put in. I'm not necessarily saying it wasn't before, but today was the first game in a while where it felt like everyone was pulling in the same direction. I think before that, maybe I don't know, maybe it's a bit different. I think certainly the players will be happy. I think Potter will be happy, but I'm also pleased that Potter came out after the game and said, "Listen, the results are still aren't good enough. Winning's important. We have to win here." That like he's not letting the win cloud his judgment. Everything's not okay.
Yeah.
I'm quite glad that he's under no sort of suspicions that everything is sort of hunky dory, because he'll pass that on to the players as well, and they'll recognise that.
I mean, I think despite what people think of Potter and whether they think he's like got a big enough kind of nasty / ruthless streak in him, I think he's a very intelligent guy. I think he knows how to deal with people. He knows how to kind of manage situations, even if perhaps it's not in a way that we perhaps like, in terms of what we've been used to, should I say. I think, more recently, I've noticed that the comments, not to be honest, mate, I don't really care what he says as long as we win. But like, obviously, these things get overanalyzed when you're losing, and I think he's still been adjusting to stepping up from Brighton to Chelsea, and I think he's been guilty at times. No, I think he has been guilty of times of speaking like a Brighton manager rather than like a Chelsea manager. But I think he's learning as time goes on, and I think he's getting better when he does the media. I think not every single time, but like these comments today after the game are like, I think these are the sort of things you want to hear, because you could have quite easily gone, "Oh yeah, it's a big win today, and everything's fine." Like he knows the situation.
He could have turned around and gone, "Yeah, he could have gone, "Look, everything's okay now. Like everything's all right." And we all know it isn't, and we didn't want to hear any excuses, and we didn't get any. Just like I know it sounds funny, because why would you give excuses when you win? But sometimes managers do, and I don't know personally. It got everything that I wanted from a sort of a post game presser, is that he praised the players, praised the fans, and recognised there's more work to do.
Do you know what I also noticed today? I'm not sure if you might have noticed it either, but I mean, I wasn't obviously looking at Potter the whole time, but I was noticing that he spent a lot more time in a technical area today and was a lot more vocal with his instructions, and a lot more. He looked like he was getting into the players a bit more, getting onto them more, like telling them what to do and things. And I hadn't really seen that as much in previous games. And I know, like, you can say, "Oh, it's not really that important," but you want a manager that's up on the touchline, vocal, isn't just sitting in his chair for the majority of the game. I noticed that a lot more than has happened in the last few games. And I'm not sure if that was more of if that hopefully we can see more of that, or if that was very much we saw that because he's like, shit.
I would hate to
like if I lose this game, then I'm fucked. Like I'm down the job centre Monday. So he probably had to do everything that he could.
Yeah, I'd hate to think that he was only doing that because he felt like he needed to do it to keep his job. Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, so I don't think he was maybe, but
I'd hope that is like maybe a small change that actually he is going to make going forward as well. I think we just got to put everything into perspective, because it's all well and good to get the win, but actually we are still in a rough spot, and we could, you're not on a winning run until you win 2 games, right? Until then, you've only won 1 game. So it's important to just like sort of keep our heads down and work hard, because we don't want to get complacent and make stupid mistakes again. We did really well today, especially in not letting up many chances. It only takes one sort of bozo brain dead moment for the next game to go all horribly wrong, and the momentum's completely dead.
Yeah.
So it's important to keep pushing.
That's the important thing to realize, is that this is just 1 win, and it's nothing less, and it's nothing more than that.
It's a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. When you've been on such a bad run, getting that first win is such a big hurdle to overcome. But this win means nothing if we then go and lose at Leicester next weekend. If you get what I mean, like, you've got to back these results up. There's no point just picking a win up here and then not following it up, because then it almost becomes pointless, because then everyone's forgotten about that win by the time you next play, because you lost the fucking next game. So exactly. Like, you've got to look.
You got to build on the performance. You've
Yeah,
got to,
exactly.
it will be really helpful because the result will help confidence a lot, and that's one thing that we haven't had recently because we haven't won any games. There are lots of games where we've played all right and not won, and the confidence isn't there. And so hopefully now that there's an additional side to the mental side of the game where we can push forward.
Yeah, and this is exactly it. It's like I don't think we should underestimate how big a win this is. Not in terms of a great performance or like a big win in terms of a scoreline, but in terms of like what this can do for the mood around the club, particularly when we've got a game on Tuesday night against Dortmund, which is massive.
Mm.
Like if we'd gone into Dortmund, obviously we're one down, having
Yeah.
not picked up a positive result in this game. I'm not saying we wouldn't be able to go and do it, but it really doesn't help you. And the fact there's going to be maybe a recovery session tomorrow, a light session Monday, we play Tuesday. There's no time to do anything really that's going to be of any benefit or make any difference on the training pitch in the 2 days we've got between the games. This was really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the biggest thing that we could have done is win today, just for the players mentally. I know it's just Leeds, and their relegation. Their relegation threatened. We won from a scrappy set piece in a lot of ways. We weren't threatening in other areas. There are loads of problems still going on, but it's just nice to have a win, and it's nice to have a result that we can actually build off of. Because if nothing else, a win, it gives time for the team to be able to have those ideas gel a little bit more. If Potter is going to make anything work with this squad, because I'm not convinced he will, winning games is an important factor towards that, so he can have more time to implement his ideas.
Yeah, no, mate, I totally agree. I'm just going to get to a few bits in the chat before we move on. If we didn't muck up in February, we'd be that. I mean, yeah, I do agree with that. It's kind of mad how suddenly we were basically on the same amount of points as Liverpool. Liverpool put a few wins together, and mate, they're pretty close to fourth place now. When no one would have said that when we played them last month and drew 0-0. It just goes to show that, like, actually, if you do put 2, 3, 4 wins on the bounce together in the league, you put yourself right back in the mix. Now, I don't expect no Chelsea fans are expecting to come in the top 4, and I think that's very, very unlikely. But if you can put a run together, as I said, 3, 4, 5 wins on the spin, you do elevate yourself right back into that top 4 race. So I get what Assad's saying here, that actually, like, when you look at it, the amount of points that we've dropped, I'm not saying we would have won all of those games, but some of those draws turns into wins, some of those defeats turn into draws. We wouldn't actually be that far outside the top 4, which is quite mad considering everything that's happened this season.
Yeah, it's frustrating in a way because we were, about a month ago, I think we were something like 4 points behind Spurs. We were still in 10th, but we were only about 4 points behind Spurs in 4th, or whatever it was, or in 6th or wherever they were. Really, like, there wasn't much in it at all. Just before this game, we were 14 points behind Spurs. Same positions, 10th to roughly 4th, but the gap that the top 4 had just opened up on the rest of the table, it was just crazy. So it feels a little bit like the opportunity's gone, certainly for top 4. I'm not exactly sure how to feel about wanting to be in Europe next season. Depending on the competition, it's nice to be in for reserve games and for fringe players to get more games, and I appreciate that from a squad building perspective. It's also nice to be able to tactically focus on one game a week at the moment, or like almost one game a week if we don't count the Champions League game we've got. So I don't know what would be better for the development, but I think if you're gonna be in a competition like the Conference League or the Europa next season, you got to win it. You got to be in it to win it.
I mean, to be fair, mate, every time we've been in the Europa League, we've won it 2 from 2. Conference League, I mean, I think it would be a joke if we didn't win the Conference League if we're in it next season. I mean, that would just be
it would be a massive disappointment.
But yeah, it certainly would be. I'm the same as you on this point, though, in terms of, like, would it be better to have no Europe than play Europa League or Conference League?
I don't know what the solution is because the squad's already quite big. It suits multiple competitions.
Well, it does, doesn't it? So, like I don't think we want to be playing once a week, but then you could argue it might be better for us. The squad's obviously going to be much trimmer next season. I think a lot of players are going to be sold in the summer. Like, if it was Conference League or no Europe, I'd take no Europe. I probably would take the Europa League right now. I know that's
Yeah,
because
like
but
I can
because
see,
it
I
would
can see
because
where
it
you're coming
also
from.
but because it also would give us an opportunity to get into the Champions League by winning that tournament. And there's no
Mhm.
guarantees we're going to finish in the top four next season either. As much as people might not want to hear that, there's no guarantees we come in the top four next season. So if you're in the Europa League and you can win that, that gets you in the Champions League next season anyway. So for me, if it's Conference League, I'd rather go without. But if it's Europa League, then I take it. But there's merits for both sides of the argument for sure. Agreed on this bit, mate. The quality in centre back, by the way, is a joke when you think about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
unbelievable. We have the best. You could argue. I don't know. Maybe Man United in terms of like Lissandro Martinez and
or
Varane and
Varane,
stuff.
yeah.
But apart from them, maybe City, maybe Arsenal. But we have some excellent centre backs in our team. Very underrated, very young. And Fofana is ridiculously good. We all
Mate,
know
it's
that. That's
mad.
why
We've
we
barely
bought
seen
him.
him play, though, have we? Like, it's
It
so
was
not. It's so
It's been
refreshing to see
unlucky
him.
because he's
Yeah.
been injured, but we've got him and we've got Badiashile as well. And he's Big Ben. He's a Rolls Royce defender.
I mean, even
It's so nice
Koulibaly
to see
looked
how
decent
calm he is
today
on the
as well.
ball.
Even Koulibaly looks pretty good today, having had a
Yeah, it looked
difficult start to
okay.
his career. He looked okay. But yeah, let's get rid of that. Passion and fight played. Yeah, we did have some passion and fight. First half was decent. What we got here, seeing as we have no Thiago Silva or Badiashile, that's the tough one. I mean, we won't discuss Dortmund too much, but I think I'd like to see the back three stay, but it means that we'd have to bring Chalobah in. So we'd have to go Chalobah, Koulibaly, Fofana.
Yeah, I would. Or you play Cucurella. Left
What's happened
centre
to
back.
Cucurella? It wasn't even in the squad today. Cucurella's not played since West Ham.
He's recently had a kid, isn't he?
He has, but do you take two matches off? Well, maybe you do. I don't.
Yeah, maybe you do. I don't know.
Maybe you
Like
do. I'm not really
maybe
sure how it
Potter's given
works.
him a little extra time off to get his head right. I don't know. It didn't seem like he was quite in the right space of mind before, so maybe he's taking a little bit of time off. Which to be honest, I don't mind at all. I think he needs to. There's a few players in the squad who could benefit from that kind of break.
Yeah.
And he certainly seems one of them. Yeah, I think you probably, for me, just in short, if you were going to say, if you were going to talk about the merits of 4 at the back or 3 at the back against Dortmund, I'd be playing 3 at the back. I think it's better for hitting someone like Dortmund who play with a high line on the counter. So yeah, that seems to work better in my view. And not to mention a crucial Champions League game, probably better to have 3 at the back than 2 central defenders.
I would agree. And to be honest, I don't think it's any surprise that today with the back 3, Chilwell had his best game in a fucking long time.
In ages, absolutely.
He was really good today. And I don't think there's any coincidence in that that's coincided with the fact we played a back 3.
No,
I really don't.
completely agree. I think he suits left wing back much more than left back. He can do a job at left back, but you know what? He's probably better attacking than defending.
No, he is for sure.
So like it makes sense for him to be a wing back. He did well in his defensive duties though today, I thought. Well, and I'm sure we'll get into all that in the player ratings shortly. But I think a lot of players had some of their better games this season today. I always say, it's only Leeds, so you can't get up too much. And there is context around.
The bar's been low for us.
Yeah, like you can't ignore the context to a certain degree. They had a midweek game and we didn't, so we were right to be able to run them off the park today, and for a lot of the game we did. But at the same time, context matters in the game. For example, against Southampton, they didn't have a manager and we still lost. So
yeah,
the context doesn't always mean you're guaranteed to win.
No, it doesn't. Is this our turning point? I hope so.
Everyone hopes so, but nobody knows.
Nobody knows. It would be naive and a little bit stupid to say it definitely is because we've got no idea. Who knows? I'd like to think it could be, but the reality of the situation is we'll find out Tuesday. We'll find out Leicester next weekend as well. We don't really know what the situation is going to be.
I hope it's the case that now one goal's gone in, they'll all go in. But I don't think it'll be the case. I think there's still hard work to go.
Big up Clifford. Really like the game today. Others, when back in the squad, will help improve even better. Look, it's a positive today for sure. And I think once we
like Kante and stuff in the squad again,
and Reece James as well again, Silva back in the squad. Things will get better. Yeah. Just Leeds 6. Yeah, no, we know. Mate, we haven't won a game for a while, so we got to enjoy it. But we're not getting carried away. We're not getting carried away. KSA man, no, I didn't tell the owners to sack Potter or say anything. yeah, it's not really the most appropriate thing to be saying.
Also,
yeah,
guys, what difference do you think that's going to do? They're going to be like, no, well, this guy with a live stream, Charlie Patrick Zero, on Twitter, he told me to sack Potter, so Bowley's going to march back into Stamford Bridge after the game, sack him on the. What are you on about? You waffling?
Yeah, that didn't happen. It was nice to meet them, really nice guys. But yeah, even if I did say that, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. But yeah, anyway, big up. Back three, we were all crying. We had enough of it. Yeah, and that is true. I mean, I towards the end of Tuchel, I was like, we've got to move away from this back three. The reality of the situation is where we're at right now with the players we've got and the squad we've got.
We suit it.
Is that the back three actually suits us?
Yeah.
And there's no denying it. And I don't understand why we went away from it for so long. There's no surprise. As soon as we went back to the back three, we started winning again.
That's the thing,
I say it's one game. It's a very small sample size. But you go back to the back three, and we have a much better performance than we've had in a long time.
And when Potter came in and we were winning games, we were playing
all back three.
The results we had against Milan, both games we were in a back three. It seems that being in a back three, it really helps defend a lot of the deficiencies of some of our other players. I think, for example, I actually think, say if we only had a two-man defense today, say it was Koulibaly and Fofana. I think we lose today.
We certainly don't win. I don't think we
certainly don't win because I think Koulibaly had a few sort of oopsie daisy moments that actually, if he wasn't sort of the central mid defender in a three, it could have been a bit of a problem. So I'm not by any means saying that like it's the solution forever, but it definitely suits a lot of the squad and it plays to the strengths of our players while also mitigating their weaknesses. Like we haven't really seen enough of Reece James since he got back from injury. I think hopefully maybe if we're going to continue and playing it three at the back, which I hope we do, he'll be able to really rampage down that right-hand side like he has done in the past for us.
Yeah, and I think it's no surprise to me that, say we started with a back three and then, we went to Brighton and we got hammered 4-1 and that was the end of the nine match unbeaten streak. And then we didn't see the back three again until today. Now, I just don't really understand why we abandoned it because we got hammered at Brighton. Like, I'm not really sure what happened there.
That Brighton game is a funny one as well because I was never expecting us to do very well in that game because we pinched one of their players. We pinched them their coach.
Hostile environment.
The players were always going to have a chip on their shoulder, and they wanted it more than we did. And we played a midweek game. So like it seems like it was a bit naive to go, well, back three was the problem in that game because it wasn't. There was a lot more other factors involved. And it's nice to see it back. Today is one of the better games we've played in ages. I think today was better in terms of performance than the Dortmund game. It was better than the West Ham game, certainly. It was better than both of our losses recently. It was arguably better than the win at Crystal Palace. So like, and that was 7 games ago. That was our last win. So it seems that I'm not saying it's a turning point, but actually it might be beneficial for us for at least the rest of the season to actually stick with this back three. I think, maybe Potter hopefully works out what formation he wants to play. We seem to play more of like a 4-4-2 out of possession and then like a 3-4-3 in possession, which is quite a complex thing to have to do. So, the players will get used to that as they play it, hopefully.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I agree, and we just look way better with it. It's as simple as that. And despite the fact we wanted to get rid of it, it suits us much better. And until we sign a holding midfield player, which means we can play a 3 in the middle, the back three looks a lot better for us. All right, João Felix today, perhaps not as involved as he is when he plays as that 10 in the 4-2-3-1, but he didn't have a terrible game. I think everyone, and we won as well. There's no point changing sort of a winning formula, as it were. This is a good point, Joe. I think it's top 5 qualify in the Prem next season. I mean, we can have we'll have a quick search of this. I'm pretty sure. I think top 5 qualify for the Champions League next season, because from not this season, sorry, next season, so the 23-24 season, that'll be. I think it's the top 5 because they're changing.
24-25, yeah, it goes to like a 32-man or 48-man team bracket, or whatever, doesn't it?
Yeah,
there's more teams. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I think top 5 it does. Dortmund.
Oh, that must be strange, mustn't it? Though, because like, you get top 5 who get Champions League. What is it then? Like 6th and 7th get
Europa, and eighth
Europa, and then
conference.
8th gets conference. Almost half the league gets, like.
Yeah, you got to finish in the top half of the table. Well, maybe a little bit
Yeah, if you
more.
get a finish in the top half of the table, you got a good chance of being in Europe.
Very good chance of being
If
in
you're
Europe.
if you're in the top half at Christmas, you've got a good chance.
Oh yeah, mate. It's gonna be. You're gonna see. You're gonna see lights of Brighton in Europe very soon. Very soon. Like,
I
and
kind of
they
like
thoroughly
it though
deserve
to a
it.
certain
I
degree
like it.
because like I like some of the teams being in some of the slightly smaller European competitions because if they win it, that's a huge boom for them. Like
Mate, it's a
if someone
massive, yeah.
like Brighton won the Conference League or something, I'm sure they'd be absolutely gassed. They'd love it.
Mate, they'd be good enough to as well. I think. Like, I don't think they'd be far off it. But yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, Dortmund goalkeeper might miss the game. Or that if he does, that's a big plus.
Yeah, that Kerbal, he had an excellent game
Yeah, he did have a
in the
good
reverse
game.
fixture. So if
What we
he's
got
out,
here?
that would be useful. But then we're both kind of missing a key person there because we're missing Thiago Silva as well. So
I don't
swings and
necessarily.
roundabouts.
I don't necessarily know if the back three is bad for Mudryk and Madueke. I think that works
Yeah, I
pretty
think
well because
Noni came on
you get
today.
two out and out wingers.
Yeah, well, you can play. Like Noni played today as the right winger in the 3-4-3, and I thought he was fine. He came on. It wasn't a big performance by any means,
No,
but because he didn't get many minutes, but
mate.
thought he did absolutely fine. Mudryk, I actually think would almost benefit from playing where Chilwell played today, at sort of like a wing back, because he had absolutely acres of space, and the outball was always there for him. So it'd be worth thinking about that. Maybe the solution is something like you have Felix up front instead of Havertz who drops to the bench. You have Mudryk on the left wing and then Chilwell on the left hand side.
Yeah,
Very sort of dynamic, sort of attacking left hand side. I don't know, but I think it does suit them. I think the thing about a back three is it's a very versatile formation when you have a back three because you can have one of the centre backs move into attack. You can have the middle centre back move into midfield. There's a lot you can do with it.
no, mate, I agree. Are you surprised that no, Mudryk wasn't injured today? He was on the
Nope.
bench. He was unused. Are you surprised that I know like Potter's big on managing people's minutes and building them up and whatnot, and Mudryk will probably plays Tuesday night. But are you surprised that he's not getting too much of a look in at the moment, or is that not really too much of a concern right now?
Yes and no. There's a few things going on there, isn't there? Because there's like Sterling, who's coming back into the fray, who's a senior player on more money, who arguably at the moment is probably better and more experienced in the league than Mudryk is, and he kind of plays in Mudryk's position most of the time. So that's kind of part of it. As well as that, Mudryk hasn't played a full game of football since November. So it's about managing his minutes to get him back up to full fitness. I know he trains really hard, but nothing quite is the same as match fitness either. So I think based on the fact that he's not 100% fully ready and match fit, in my view, if he had played any minutes today, he probably wouldn't have played at Dortmund. And I think Dortmund is the better game for him tactically to be a part in because Dortmund plays such a high line. His pace in behind would be really useful. So there's a lot of reasons why you could say he didn't play today. You could have given him a 15-minute run out, but I'm not necessarily sure that would have made much of a difference. Regardless, I would have just rest him and have him absolutely raring to go for the Dortmund game, and hopefully he takes off like a dragster or something, because he's
Yeah,
had a good
I mean,
rest.
look, I think there's still plenty of time for Mudryk. People forget
He's on an 8-year contract.
Yeah, I mean, he's
it's
20,
a long
20
time.
he's 22. He's he's never played outside of the Ukrainian league. Obviously, he's played in the Champions League group stages. Hadn't played since November before he joined us. This is a new country for him to live in as well. Like, people don't take into account all the settling that needs to happen when you've left your home country that's at war and being decimated. You come over to London, to England, new way of living, new way of life. Like, people don't take those things into account. They just look at the performances on the pitch. Like,
yeah, I think the important thing
if things aren't good off the pitch, they're not going to be good on the pitch.
You got to recognise the longevity of his contract as well. We paid for it. We paid for his potential. That's largely what we
didn't pay for him to be good right. Obviously, we want him to be good right now.
We want him to be good right now, but he's not the finished article right now. We knew that when we bought him. So it's about managing him and making sure that he can be up, as good as he can be, with time to come. And like I said, he's got an 8-year contract. He's not going anywhere at the moment. So and he backs himself. He's a hard worker. There's no way that he won't succeed here. Big up Jay in the chat, by the way.
It's an interesting point as well. Is that, like, obviously with the back three, the fact we signed João Felix on loan, we paid like 10 million for what is essentially a 4 or 5 months loan. Felix is going to pretty much start every game. So
more
that
or less.
if you continue with the back three, that's already one of the 3 spaces at the front gone.
Yeah, exactly. And oftentimes Felix does occupy that left-hand side as well.
And then you look at it, Potter loves playing Havertz. So
where does that? Yeah, if you're not going to play, if you're not going to play Chile, then Mudryk has to play at like a wing-back role, which would work for him.
Maybe.
Like I said, Chile was the outball. He was really attacking today. Had a lot of space that he got to run into. That would work for Mudryk as well. But at the moment, Chile seems to be being picked over.
I think for me, like if we're going 3-4-3, I'd rather have Felix as the 9, Mudryk left, Sterling right. I think
I personally think that would work really well. Obviously that attack doesn't have that much height in it. But like we were trying to cross the ball to Felix today anyway. So, little 5-foot Felix. So,
it's true.
I don't know.
Pulisic also back in train. Do you see him getting game time now? I mean,
he should.
Should.
At some point.
He's been out for a long time. So he's not played since Man City at home in January. So he's been out.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. You forget how many attacking players we've actually got. There just isn't going to be space for all of these guys. He'll probably get some. He'll get some game time. I think he'll play between now and the end of the season.
A lot of games.
But do you think that's part? Just on a wider point, that's part of the problem as well. Why we're perhaps not scoring that many goals is because there's no continuity in the front line. It's a different front line, like pretty much every single game. That can't be helpful.
Yes and no, because it doesn't allow you to build much cohesion and stuff. But these guys train together every day. So like at the same time, there is going to be a little bit of gelling together there. That it's not like they only gain experience of playing together on match days. So it's important to recognize there's other stuff probably going on as well, but nothing quite at the same time. Nothing quite is the same as sort of match day experience. So yeah, maybe I've criticised Potter a lot for sort of chopping and changing a lot, but at the moment with the attack the way it is, I think you'd be nuts to leave it the same way every game. Because we're not doing anything every game when we attack at the moment. So he's trying to find a right formula. I think when he finds one, he might stick with it. But I think it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it certainly isn't. And we've won today, so I don't really care about any of that. But in the bigger picture, it is a fair point. I mean, are you slightly concerned because I've noticed it as a pattern? I'm sure you have as well, as a number of people have, that we tend to start games pretty well. First 25, 30 minutes, we're pretty decent. We create a number of good chances. We don't convert them. And then from that point onwards, we seem to just regress and we don't get any better. Luckily today, we stepped it up a little bit. But for me at the moment, Chelsea are quite predictable in terms of, we're going to start reasonably well for the first 20, 25 minutes. We'll create a few chances. We won't score. And then after that initial burst, we seem to lose all momentum and then kind of find ourselves well out the game, come out for the second half, and there's just nothing there. Today was a little bit better in that front, but that's kind of an anomaly, as it were, compared to the last few games where very much we come out for the second half and we're just shit.
Yeah, I think it certainly is a concern, but I think there's a few things as well that kind of mitigate that a little bit. I don't think we were just good for the first sort of 15, 20. I thought probably about the first 30, 35 minutes, we were pretty good. And it wasn't just that we were pretty good at times in the first half. Leeds were all over the place. We were absolutely all over them at times. Our press was suicidally high, but also very, very effective. It's the press was, absolutely monstrously strong, right? And that requires every player to be running really hard all the time, even when they're off the ball. So it's no wonder that actually that drops off as the game goes on. But what will help is the more they play that system and the more they kind of learn how to press the way Potter wants them to, the easier it will be for them to sort of manage when to go, when not to go, as a group. And that will help keep that longevity of the press stay a bit longer over time, over games. I think we'll always see a little bit of that, of teams who get tired later on in the game, because that's just kind of how football is these days. Like there aren't many teams who can just be absolutely running for 90 minutes, unless you've got someone like N'Golo Kante in the squad, which, we soon will have. So maybe that makes a difference as well when he's back. I think we've got a few players who can really bring up the energy of the squad. And we've got lots of players who can come on, who can actually, like we had a little bit today when Conor Gallagher came on. You know, he was doing all the running.
Energy. Yeah.
Just the energy that you need in somewhere like the second half, because I think Potter's press demands quite a lot of energy, and I think that's why Felix went off as well. So you know, there is a pattern to it, but I think it's actually more indicative of some kind of progression than not, especially after today's result.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also those subs, the players, particularly the players that came off, you can tell, even though this game was a little bit precarious and we weren't guaranteed to win it when we made those subs, the players that he subbed off, you could tell that was with half an eye on Tuesday. Felix, Enzo, Cover, Sterling. Like, these are guys that are all going to start on Tuesday. So
exactly, all going to play, you know, significant minutes on Tuesday anyway. So I think a lot of people were very upset at Potter for sort of like after about an hour just deciding to sort of try and shut up shop.
I was annoyed.
I don't really blame him.
I understand it, mate. You know, your job's on the line.
I don't really blame him.
You're just going to stick with what you got, aren't you? You've got the goal. We don't score many goals, and you're under huge pressure.
It's a crucial game.
You're just going to shut it down.
Like you say, you got half an eye on the game on Tuesday, which is, you know, also really important for us to do well in. We need to win that game, really. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why we kind of did shut up shop when we did. You know, we added a bit more energy to the midfield and closed it. But you know, by bringing on Gallagher and Zakaria, who both probably won't play on Tuesday, so it kind of makes sense for them to play a significant amount of time. I think Potter kind of walked the tightrope really well today, actually, in terms of, you know, like he had to win today and he also had to preserve players for Tuesday. So, you know, I think he's more or less managed to do that. You know, we didn't play Reece James today because he was, you know, he had a bit of tightness in his but hamstring tightness. So as a precaution for Dortmund, he didn't play. I thought Loftus-Cheek did all right as an understudy there at right wing back, but
it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. And so, you know, you know, I think Potter's done a decent job today. And I've been a big Potter critic, especially the last month or so, you know, saying about what he's getting right and what he's getting wrong. Today, he got it more right than he got it wrong.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But do you think, I mean, I still feel that we're very much in the same position as we were before the game. Like, Tuesday is still massive. I think if we
Tuesday's still crucial.
I think if we go out on Tuesday, I still think that he's done.
Yeah, I agree, because our season now hinges around the Champions League, and you know, the squad and the manager have put themselves in that position, so the pressure is going to be high. But that's, you know, that's what it is. They've done that to themselves with the results they've got so far, and unfortunately, you're only ever as good as your last game, really. So it's going to be a tough one. We need to see on Tuesday. We need to see that same energy, that same dynamism, that same sort of very aggressive attacking display that we've seen. But you know, overall today, I was quite impressed. I'm glad the players and the manager rose to the occasion, and I'm glad we got the result.
Yeah, for sure, mate. That's the most important thing, as we keep saying. The result, performances. Yeah, we want better performances, but right now we're not in a position to be demanding performances and wins. We just need to get the points on the board. Simple as that.
And the wins are more important. I know people are talking about
wins. I'm wins over performances every day of the week anyway.
Absolutely.
I just want the points. I'd watch 1-0 dog shit football every week, because winning football is successful football. So
exactly. You know, we're all Mourinho fans here. We all know. We're all brought up on Mourinho.
Yeah, mate, it's all winning football is great football.
Winning a football match 1-0 is better than losing it 3-2.
Losing it 3-2. Yeah. Exactly. Right, let's move into the player ratings then. We'll rattle through these guys. Big up everyone in the chat still. Make sure you smash the likes on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Another clean sheet, mate. I think we're still third best defence in the league.
You see Newcastle
lost today.
Because they lost, our record of goals conceded in a season is still intact. Which
that's never going to be beaten.
It's never going to be beaten, but I'm actually shocked that Newcastle got so close.
Well, yeah,
you know, they made it to March. You know, like that. You know, seen ends. I mean,
on that, you actually think about it. To concede 15 goals in a whole season is actually mad.
Only 9 of them were from open play, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's ever going to be beaten.
I went through them a little while ago because I wanted to actually have a look to see what they were, and I think like a couple of them were tap-ins, a couple of them were absolutely ridiculous goals that
There's
like
been a few penalties as well.
couple penalties, yeah, and some of them were completely unsavable volleys and stuff from outside the box. So like, if you account for all of that in a whole league season, it's very impressive stuff. And like you say, it'll never be broken. At least
I can't
not
see it.
for a long time.
No, for sure, for sure. Let's kick it off then. Kepa, another clean sheet. Didn't have an awful lot to do today, to be honest. Leeds didn't create that much. Yeah, there were a few scary moments where we made things difficult for ourselves. But in terms of out and out opportunities where they had to force Kepa into action, I'm struggling to remember anything.
Yeah, there was a couple things that, like I think he did everything that he was needed to do when called upon. Largely, he didn't make any mistakes, which I'm pleased about. A bit scary whenever someone shoots from distance and he just stands there.
Yeah, that's a slight concern.
That is what it is. He backs himself to know where the goal is, I suppose. Yeah, I think a couple times it was a little bit hairy. A few times the crosses came in and he looks at it like a UFO, like he doesn't know what's happening.
Just gazing at it, yeah.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I think he did okay today. Like I said, whenever he was called upon, he did what was required. I'll give him a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Nothing too much to do. Didn't do anything particularly bad. Didn't do anything particularly shit either. Let's move on to Wesley Fofana. I thought it was man of the match today. Him or Chilwell. It was close between the two of them. I'll probably just give it to Fofana for the goal. Outstanding.
Didn't put a foot wrong today.
Didn't do a foot wrong. And we're forgetting how good a player he actually is because we've not seen him for so long. We haven't seen him since October.
Isn't he only like 21? Like he's
21 or 22.
He's very young.
We've got one of the best up-and-coming centre-backs in world football. And
between him, Fofana, Fofana, Badiashile, and Colwill coming back next season, like it's so nice to have Thiago Silva staying for another year as well. Hopefully, Colwill will be able to learn a little bit from him as well. One more year of tutelage under Thiago Silva for the likes of Fofana and Badiashile will be absolutely critical. It'll be so good, so important for them.
He was absolutely outstanding today, Fofana.
Played really well today.
Really, really good. I'll probably give him an 8.5.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same. About an 8.5. Didn't put a foot wrong. Scored the winning goal. What more can you ask for, really? Was only thing I think he did wrong was he had a pretty free header in the first half and didn't put that away. But he made up for that by scoring later on anyway.
No, he certainly did. I mean, Koulibaly, we touched on him earlier. It's been a difficult start to life at Chelsea for him. In the last few weeks, he has done better and his performance levels have definitely improved and increased, and he's performing at a level that we kind of expect. There's still more to do for sure. But I thought he was reasonably good today. It didn't look like there was a couple of moments where he's a little bit fucking about the ball at the back, almost giving it away in a very dangerous area. But generally speaking, I thought overall he was pretty decent today.
Yeah, I thought he was all right. There's a few things, there's both good and bad from his game today. On the good side of things, I thought he did well being kind of like the leader in the back line. I saw him a lot sort of pointing and shouting and telling people where to go. That kind of Thiago Silva kind of role, because he's the experienced one in the back three. And I think he did a good job of organising the back three today. So I'll certainly give him that. On the other side, yeah, I think sometimes he just doesn't make decisions quickly enough. Because where he's from in the Serie A, is a slower speeder game and he's not quite up to the pace of the Premier League fully. And so I think it leads him to make some kind of slightly silly choices. There are a few sort of heart and mouth moments, as there always seem to be with him. The likes of Somerville for Leeds.
He was good today.
Had him absolutely spinning around at times, Koulibaly. Like I said earlier, I think the fact that we were in a back three today really helped Koulibaly.
I think Koulibaly's better in F3.
I think he is as well. I think if it's him and say Fofana in a 2 today, I think Somerville causes a lot of problems for them. And he still caused a significant amount of problems as the central centre back in the 3. I'll give him sort of like maybe a 6 tops. Maybe that sounds maybe a little bit harsh, but I think I'm still not
6.5.
I'm still not fully happy with where he is performing yet. I thought I can't remember which game it was, but I think it was before the Spurs game. He had a good game a few weeks ago. where he actually really stepped up.
Dortmund.
And I think it was Dortmund. Yeah,
Dortmund away. Yeah, because
Dortmund away.
that was his first game in about a month or so.
Yeah, stepped it back in, did really well. Suffered against Spurs a lot, and was a bit better today. So hopefully a step in the right direction for him.
Yeah, for sure. Another massive game.
And
for him
he's done well. I think he's going to do well to step into that leadership role with Thiago Silva out, because he has to.
Yeah, he's the most senior centre back.
Yeah, exactly. He has to organise the midfield.
He's got to
organise the back three.
Let's move on to Badiashile. Another outstanding performance today. Like, for someone that's 21 years of age, looks so calm, so composed. He's good with the ball at his feet. He reads the game really well.
Hasn't put a foot wrong for us the entire time he signed for us. He's a Rolls Royce defender.
He is. But he's 21. He costs 35 million euros.
I have never seen a player come into the Premier League, especially a defender, come into the Premier League and look so calm on the ball all the time.
But so quickly as well, like instantly.
Yeah, instantly. Like, there was no time to adapt or anything like that. It probably helps to have Thiago Silva aside him. He's had one or two slightly shakier moments, but it's hardly anything to hang your hat on. I think he's been excellent since he signed for us. I gave him a 7.5 today.
Yeah, because
probably the only reason it probably doesn't get an 8 is because Fofana did a bit more, and being in a back three does make all the defenders look a little bit better. So recognizing that he didn't have all that much to do, especially because Chile had a good game coming back to defend on the left-hand side as well. But whenever he was called upon, he did what he had to do and did well.
Yeah, I mean, what a signing he is, by the way. Like, I honestly don't think the plan was to use him this quickly or this soon.
No, I don't think so either. But I think, I bet he looks like he's really impressed in training.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's. The man just must train like an absolute.
And I think
madman.
It's also helped him that Koulibaly's form has been terrible, so he's kind of been given a chance much sooner than he would have expected to receive a chance. But he's taken it with both hands, and mate, you can't not have him in the team. It's as simple as that right now.
He's one of my first names on the team sheet this season already, and we only signed him in January. It's ridiculous.
It is mad. Loftus-Cheek at right wing back today. Bit of a throwback to the Tuchel days.
It was a very Tuchel looking lineup today, wasn't it?
With this one. Do you know what? Considering he's not a right wing back and he probably hasn't played there for a while, I actually thought Ruben was all right today. Nothing amazing, but he wasn't bad. Like, obviously, defensively got caught out a couple of times. He was fairly decent going forward. He gets stuck in. And considering he's playing at right wing back, I didn't think this was that bad today. I mean, I'll probably give him a 6. I think he was pretty good, all things considered.
I think even a 6 might be a little bit harsh. I think I thought he had a decent enough game. All of his better performances as of late, in the last season or so, have been at wing back. Remember that one at the Bernabeu last season, second leg. He was unreal at wing back. Sometimes he's absolutely unplayable. I have no idea what he puts in his Weetabix on those days. He should have that every day. But I think like you said, he got caught out a couple times. Sometimes he went forward with the ball and it kind of didn't go anywhere. But he offered something quite different on that right hand side, which was sort of a physical presence and a dribbling presence that you don't get when Reece James isn't in the team. I was pleased to see him sort of have a bit of a throwback and do quite well. I would have given him a 6.5 maybe, but I could recognise a 6 as well. Decent performance from him.
Let's push him to a 6.5. Why not?
Yeah, if he's gonna,
we won.
If we're going to be playing, if we're going to be playing this formation longer term anyway, he will probably be playing there more often, regardless. So today really could have also been a bit of a shake the rust off kind of game. And considering the performance he put in, that's not too bad.
No, that's not too bad at all. Let's move to the other side and Ben Chilwell. We touched on it earlier. His best game since he's come back from since he got any of his injuries. Yeah. Best game's easy. And it's, as we said, no coincidence that it's come playing as a left wing back and a 3. I don't think there's any surprises there at all. He was really good getting forward. He was a threat in the opposition box. He was constantly there on that left-hand side for an overlap.
Big up Darmash in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, big up Darmesh. Thanks for tuning in, bro. He was a constant threat down that left-hand side. He was that out ball was always there. That switch of play was always on to Chile. He was always available in space on that left-hand side.
He was available on the out ball. The overloads we were creating on one side created a lot of space for him on the other side. It was a really nice implementation of the tactic from Potter.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Chile was good today. And you want to see more of it. And Like it's weird because obviously him and James can be good in the back four, but they're so much more effective in a back three. Like
Yeah.
it's that's the simple thing is that you're sacrificing a lot of what they're good at by playing a four because
Yeah.
naturally in a four you just can't get forward as much.
Well, I think the thing is it's looking at the balance of the team, isn't it? Because you either have someone who's better at attacking than defending, mostly defending, like Chilwell, or and that's to accommodate an extra body in midfield, who also should be making that attacking threat. Most of the time, that's Felix as that kind of number 10. But you know what? Today we look much better, actually, using the width and coming through on the wing backs. And for me, it's the way forward. Chile had a great game today. Was always looking dangerous. Was always getting in behind them. Ailing didn't know what to do with him today. Really, really did well. Was unlucky. Maybe needed to be a little bit better in terms of in front of goal to make the slightly better choices, but. Was getting himself into good positions all game, running up and down the wing. Very impressed and glad he's back fit. I'll give him an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think an 8 is fair as well. That's what I was going to go. Not quite as good as Fofana today, but still,
his crossing was good as well.
His crossing was it was much better.
Although we were crossing to like 5'0" João Felix,
but
it's something.
At least you're putting balls into the box, though, which is an improvement.
It's something.
Would you play Ruben again if James is not fit?
It's a difficult one.
It's difficult
on the right-hand side, when you've got someone like Fofana with the recovery pace, it's like you could do it.
I think I'd rather play Ruben than Chalobah there, if I'm being honest.
I think in a Champions League night, you might even want to go with Aspi there to lock down that right-hand side and then really have Chilwell just like dash up and down, almost be another left winger. You just create that imbalance on one side of the pitch.
Yeah,
in that case, I don't know. I think James will be fit for Dortmund, so I wouldn't worry because his tightness in his hamstring was just kind of a precaution.
I think if Dortmund was today, I think he would have played.
Yeah, you're spot on, Peslord. 6-7 minutes at wing back cover, no problem.
No problem. It works well. Yeah, Chilwell's crossing has improved. Let's move on to Enzo, mate. I thought it was really good today.
And the stats don't lie. The stats he had today were absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember what they were.
I think he just had all his.
He was all over the, not in a good way, all over the place today. He was absolutely everywhere.
He was everywhere.
He did a really, really good job. Him and Cover, it's not the most defensively sound midfield pivot. I was worried we were going to get run through a little bit, and we were at times, which I expected. But other than that, did really well to control the pace of the game, I thought. Made some really stunning long balls, diagonally that all seemed to land on their target. His passing range is absolutely... It's just a joke,
Yeah, well, I mean, I've just brought the stats up now.
He's crazy good.
He's the first Chelsea player in all competitions this season to record 10 or more accurate long balls, ball recoveries, and final third passes. We got 10 out of 12 long balls hit
in
today.
One game. My God,
10 ball recoveries and 22 out of 30 successful passes in the final third. He had a great game today.
It makes you think if our attackers could score, we probably would have won this game about 4-0. But that's just being a Chelsea fan at the moment. I'm really pleased in having Enzo in the squad. His quality is absolutely just so clear.
It is clear. I think I'll probably give him a 7 today.
Darmesh makes a good point in the chat. It's not even the best version of him because he's kind of being slightly hamstrung by having to do some more defensive duties. Now we know he likes to tackle, but he's not a 6. Not at least not. He's
more of I'd say he's more of an 8.
Oh, maybe he's like, I don't know, what you would consider like technically like a 7, like a between a 6 and an 8, as it were. Like he kind of. For me, he's good at sitting deep because he's good at making those long balls. But I think he also, he got forward a bit today. He got the chance to go forward a bit, shooting from long distance. I think the first time I've seen Chelsea take a shot from outside the box in ages.
Hey, it's mad.
So, it was really nice to see that.
I actually might give him a 7.5.
I was going to say 7.5.
I think Cover wasn't too bad today either.
I thought Enzo ran the show today. Cover did well. I thought, pressed like a madman in the first half. Did a really.
It was one of his better performances for a while as well because Cover's not since the World Cup. Cover's not been that good.
Did well today with the captain's armband for a long time until Kepa got it later on. That was a weird thing that happened. But I think I've been really critical of Kovacic lately because as much
it's not
as
been good enough.
as much as he's good at dribbling and things like that, I asked the question, what does he do actually going forward, and what does he contribute to the team? I think it's a fair question, but I think today he had a really good game, controlled the tempo really well, did well to sort of slow the game down when he had to. Always was getting his foot in for a tackle, was bypassed easily in midfield a few times. There was one part where I think it was Tyler Adams, or Weston McKennie. I can't remember which. I think it was Tyler.
To be fair, McKennie was actually all right.
Yeah, but today. I think it was Tyler Adams just absolutely glided past him in midfield, and Kovacic was just running alongside him, just trying to keep up. And I was just laughing because it was laughably easy for them to get through on that occasion, and a few others as well. But other than that, Cover didn't do anything like really wrong today, and I wouldn't even necessarily blame that on Cover himself. We all know he's not the quickest. That's kind of just a part of the way the team's set up.
I
give him like a 6.5 or 7 today.
Yeah, I think a 7. He's skippered the side as well.
Yeah.
I'll give him a 7. Let's move into this front line then. We'll start with João Felix. Had that opportunity, hit the crossbar.
Absolutely phenomenal shot, but yeah, I don't know what it is for him. Unfortunately, it's just not going in. I know he scored 1 goal, but I think if he had scored every shot that he's, every big chance he's had, he'd probably be on like 5 or 6 goals already.
He'd be our top scorer.
He probably would be.
Which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, he's kind of hit the post a couple times. He's hit the woodwork. It's been a bit unlucky. He gets into good positions and stuff. Wasn't his best game today. I thought he did all right.
Wasn't as effective. He was okay for sort of 15, 20 minutes, but he does always fade.
Yeah, he does always fade. So for me, arguably maybe one of the weaker players on the pitch today. I'll give him maybe
just a 5. Average. I was going to give him a 5 today. I don't think he was that good. Yeah, I think he'll be bang up for Tuesday. Of course,
I think he'll.
Champions League brings a bit more out of the big players.
For me, I think he needs to be playing over Havertz in that sort of false 9 kind of role, where he can like drop into midfield and Well, we'll get on to Havertz, but I think he, where he can link up midfield and attack a little bit better with the players running in behind around him, because he seems a really good orchestrator in that role. I'm not sure he's as good out on the wing.
No, he's not.
But it's kind of a little bit the same as kind of Mount's issue, where like. Yeah, he can play on the wing, but it's probably not his best position, and he's less efficient there generally. But the team works a bit better like that. So it's kind of one of those.
It is true, but let's see what happens with him. Hopefully that brings more out of him. Champions League, he's going to step up.
He'll be well up for this UCL on Tuesday. He always, he seems like a big game player. Just hope that him and Enzo are going to continue to find a good partnership between each other. Maybe that's partly the reason he's playing a lot as well, is because Enzo is ridiculously good and they seem to have a good connection. Also, like you say, he's on loan, and so he's going to be playing every game at the moment to get value out of his loan. So
yeah, for sure. No, he is simple as that. Let's move on to Raheem Sterling. To be honest, mate, I've not been that impressed with Sterling in terms of what he's done since he came in at Chelsea. He was fairly good under Tuchel in the first few games, then massively dropped off, got injured. But since he's come back from injury, he's looked more like the Sterling of old, or more like the Sterling that we actually paid the money for.
Absolutely.
I think he was good impact in the second half when he came in against Southampton. Good impact against Tottenham, I felt, one of our better players. And then I thought he was pretty good again today. We're finally starting to see more of Sterling.
I think today was actually one of his best performances for us.
I think it was as well.
Not necessarily in terms of output for goals and assists, but what, really, really industrious performance. Never stopped running the whole game. When he never stopped running his whole time in the game, and made some really, really important tackles. On that right hand side where he was playing, which broke for counters. Were really important. Did really well to break up the play. Linked up well with Loftus-Cheek on the right as well. For me, was always making the right decisions. And it's nice to see that from a Chelsea attacker, because that's really rare. So, I think he did really well today. I'll give him a 7. I felt like he did a good job today.
I think he did a good job as well.
Of course, he threaded the ball through for Havertz's one-on-one.
For Havertz's one-on-one, which of course he missed. Right. Mate, to be honest, I don't think anyone was really shit today. But if we're being honest, I think Havertz was the worst on the pitch again.
Yeah,
Um,
bang average
bang
performance from
average.
Havertz.
And I mean, I
Should
see the
have
stat.
scored,
I
didn't.
mean, Havertz.
Same old with him, isn't it?
I mean, Havertz was a major problem last season, and I'm just reading something here. He's one goal in 10. One goal every 10 games is not good enough for the role given in the team.
Yeah, especially
And
as a striker.
he's
I
been
know
playing
he
as a
offers height
striker,
and stuff in the box, but I don't think the height he offers is really worth it for me. I know he's decent at like defending corners and stuff, but in that case, he may as well be playing centre back. So you
but
know,
like this is the thing though. When you're playing number 9, and people can say, "Oh, he's not a 9." That's where he's playing.
and that's where he says
One,
he's best.
yeah, 1 in
He,
10.
people came out. He came out a little while ago saying how annoyed he was at the whole situation. People saying he didn't know his best position and saying I'm a number 9.
Yeah,
So if he sees himself there
but
and
one
he's
goal every
playing
10
there and
games.
he's not playing well there, that's on him.
One
It
goal
is.
every 10 games is simply not good enough for the role he's playing in a team. And the bigger
It's about
concern,
par for the course for a Chelsea striker, but still not good enough.
one goal every 10 games. But the bigger concern for me is on Havertz is that there's been zero significant improvement since he joined 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy. When we bought him and you thought about how good he could be, he's nowhere near that.
it's done nothing, mate. He's
Nowhere near.
arguably,
Arguably,
it's not
you could
improved at
argue
all. Got
he's
worse.
worse than he was at Leverkusen.
Then he is.
Yeah, you certainly could argue that for sure.
But like he's not. That's the problem. He's not improved at all.
The thing is with Havertz, the thing that bothers me is he's very clearly a second striker. He's very clearly like he
We
needs to
don't
be
play
played
with a
with
second
someone.
striker.
He's very clearly needs to be same as Felix needs to be played alongside somebody, but nobody ever plays alongside him. So I think if he doesn't have someone to play off like that, it's much harder for him to play. But he seems to be happy playing. Well, not maybe he's not happy playing as a lone striker, but he knows he is a forward. So yeah, it's a tough one. Thought he was quite invisible for a lot of the game today.
He's nothing today. Just
a
nothing.
lot of our attack went down the left side and things like that, and he did link up at times on that side. So maybe not totally invisible. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I thought he could have done a lot better today. He's not really helping his case. Like at the moment, he seems like he's getting picked kind of by default. Aubameyang's out of the team and not really very. He seems to be not very rated. Fofana's dropped off the face of the earth, so it seems and Broly is injured. He'll never have a better run of games in the team, and he's not really doing anything with it. So
he's doing absolutely nothing. And mate, would you sell him? I mean, I think I already know the answer to this. You'd sell him in the summer, wouldn't you?
Yeah, in a heartbeat, I would. Last season I wouldn't have. This
I would
season,
have sold him last summer as well.
I wouldn't have done because I don't know. I still thought there was something that could be done to sort of like make him into a good player. I'm just not necessarily sure his profile fits the Premier League or fits our team. Maybe he'll do better elsewhere.
Mate, he's going. If we sell him and we sell him back to Germany, like a Bayern Munich or something, or he goes to a La Liga side, or he goes and plays in Serie A,
he's scoring 30 goals a season.
He'd do very well. I just don't think he's cut out for the Premier League. It's as simple
Maybe
as
not.
that.
It's the same sort of thing about with Koulibaly that we were saying about earlier, where like he doesn't sort his feet out quick enough, and so he always seems to be making the wrong decision. The other thing I've noticed is he never really hits a shot with much power. Whenever he's on one with the keeper, which is a lot, and he always he tries to chip the ball or just pass it around him or dribble around the keeper. It's like he doesn't rate himself to just hit it hard straight past the keeper. And when he had that chance early on in the game today, I thought, oh no, here we go again. And the second he got that chance, I was kind of convinced he wasn't going to score anyway. It seems that we don't really have anyone in the team who can sort of, take that kind of chance on. Maybe Fofana, but he doesn't seem to be getting a game at the moment.
He was out. He wasn't even in the squad today.
No, and he's totally match fit. There's nothing wrong with him. I think it's just if you put Aubameyang on the bench, I think it's either him or Aubameyang on the bench. And if you're going to put Aubameyang on, then especially he's just not gonna. He's not going to get the time. So, yeah, for me, Havertz probably the worst player today on balance. Probably just a 5.
I'll give him a 4. It's just worse than Felix. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I thought he was absolutely bang average. Didn't really do all that much when he did get the ball. I don't know where for me
saying that Havertz is a 10. Like he's like the fact that we're still having the conversation of what people think Havertz is like nearly 3 years in just highlights the problem. Like this
Well, it's
guy
like what
can
we were
say,
saying about him being a second striker. It's the same. It's the same thing with because we say he's one thing, he thinks he's another thing. The manager probably thinks he's something else. It seems to be that the best thing I think for him, the
it's
best
just to
thing for
get rid
his
of him.
career
Is to
is for
go.
him to leave Chelsea, because it seems that it just, for
It
whatever
hasn't
reason,
worked out at
always
all.
grateful for the always will always be forever grateful for the Champions League final goal in Porto, in Portugal. But I just will. For me, I just don't think he's ever going to be the guy who we thought he
But
was
what you look
when
at
we
him at
signed him.
is he's a moments guy, and
Yeah,
we need someone that is more than that.
yeah, we need
So
an all the
let's
time
be honest.
person.
Like everything that people remember Havertz for are moments. Like he's never done, in the Premier League. He's done nothing at all consistency wise. He might score two or three goals in 3 or 4 games or whatever. But
He's a
there's no
lot less
consistency.
consistent. He's a lot less consistent than someone like Tammy Abraham was, who was more or less hounded
Yeah,
out of the club for people thought he wasn't good enough. But I tell you what, I
yeah.
think people would have him back now over Havertz.
Yeah, yeah, mate. I would have Abraham over Havertz for sure. I just look at it and it's one of those, and like it's all right. It's easy to say now, but Havertz was a Roman signing. Lampard didn't want him. I've got no way of proving this, but I don't think Lampard wanted Kai. I
Maybe
really
not.
don't.
I think it's always. I think it's never necessarily as quite black and white as that. Whether someone did or didn't want him, or thought he would fit in the team or didn't, or was interested in maybe seeing how he developed, but maybe wasn't in the plans long term. I don't know, but he's just like, in terms of what we paid for and what we got,
72 million quid for him. We
like
got fuck
what
all.
we paid for and what we got were two completely. It's like we ordered Havertz and we accidentally ordered him on Wish. Like
Yeah.
and that's kind of like, and that's the one we got that turned up. It's a tough one. Some players just don't seem to be able to adapt to the Premier League very well.
Yeah, I
And
think
he
it's a
seems to be
similar
one of them.
situation. It's a similar situation to Werner. Good footballer. Premier League just wasn't cut out for the
Yeah,
Premier
and now
League.
that he's back
Yeah.
he's back in the Bundesliga, he's banging in goals as
Yeah,
well.
and
So,
I think Havertz is the same. This league's just not suited to him. Like when
yeah.
you're coming to the end of your third season and you've not improved at all since you joined, like that just isn't cutting it. Like
Yeah, I know we don't create many chances, but he wastes a lot of good chances.
he wastes a lot of chances. He's just never in the game.
Yeah, and he doesn't pop up with a goal or an assist often enough for me to really be able to justify it. I think if we could sell him to anybody, in the summer, I think that would be a beneficial move.
If we could get 40, 50 million for him,
I reckon you get 50 million for Havertz in today's environment. We've paid a lot of his initial contract anyway, so like what he's actually worth in terms of like his contract and the rest of it, it won't be anywhere near the 72 million we paid for him anyway. So if we can get 50,
we get 50 best.
You pay 50. Even if you get 50 in terms of accounting terms, you probably make profit on him and stuff.
Yeah.
So it would be worth doing. I just think it just hasn't worked out for him, and it's a shame because I really wanted it to.
I wanted it to as well, but I think it's safe to say now that it just isn't going to work out for Kai Havertz. It's as simple as that, and we need to cut our losses and we need to sell him in the summer. But that's obviously.
But for what it's worth today, did okay, and was very good at pressing. I know people talk about,
that. We mean goals.
We do, but like I agree, but at the very least, it shows that he's trying. There's effort there. And maybe that's why he gets picked, because like he's effective in the press. He did very, very, very well, especially in the early stages of the game today, to break down some of the attacks and stuff. But if he scores his goal, it's a completely different thing, and we're talking about actually he had a good game today, despite not really being in it. But you've got to be making the most of those one-on-one moments. You don't get them very often. With Chelsea, we don't create many chances. You have to score.
No, mate, it's absolutely as simple as that. Last thing that I wanted to ask you about, mate, before we round this one out. N'Golo Kante very close to signing a new contract at Chelsea. Length has not been sort of confirmed yet, although the initial report where it came from in France was suggesting it's going to be a contract until 2026 with an option for another year. I'm not too happy in terms of the length. I think offering a 3-year contract with an option for a fourth, just an injury-prone 31-year-old, is not the is not the right thing to do. It should just, for me, it should be a 1+1 or a 2 with an option for a third. I mean, what are your thoughts on that supposed length of contract for Kante, given that he hasn't proven that he can even stay fit for 3+1 games?
I mean, listen, the length of the contract is long. I think it's right to renew him. I think the length.
Oh,
of
I
the
think it's right to renew him. Yeah,
I think the length of the contract is very ambitious for Kante. I'm not entirely sure that he's going to be able to. I think certainly by the end of that contract, I think he will. His legs will have totally gone by then.
well, at
So
the end of that, if that is the contract and he sees it out, it'll be like 35.
yeah, and some players, some
Well,
players do
Modric
really
is
well.
37 and still balling, but he's
Yeah,
different
Thiago
type of,
Silva's
different type of
38
player.
and doing
Yeah,
well. But yeah, again, different type of player, less physicality to the game. The less physical a player is, kind of the more longevity they have. I think for Kante, you've got to look at the soft factors for why, obviously, when he does play, he's one of our best players. We all know that. Everyone saw what he did in the last time he even got a consistent run of games was the Champions League winning run, really, wasn't it? And he was absolutely sensational.
it was phenomenal. I think he was man of the match in the quarterfinal, semi-final,
semis,
and
the
final.
So
Yeah.
it goes to show that the quality is there when he does play. Yeah, if they can sort out his fitness, it's a no-brainer. But you got to remember as well that Kante is, he's a World Cup winner. He's a serial winner, so that he can keep that engendering that sort of winning spirit in the squad. It's very important, especially losing the likes of Jorginho, who's also a senior player, who was also really liked, who was also very respected, was the vice captain. When you lose a presence like that, you need to be able to hold on to someone like Kante, who everybody likes and everybody respects and everyone sees as a senior leader, a quiet leader in the dressing room, and a real sort of key member of the squad. I think in terms of the soft factors, I think once you sell Jorginho, you have no choice.
You need a senior
you have no choice
player,
but to keep Kante around, especially if Kovacic might be moving on, as is reported as well. So for me, I'm not entirely or fully happy with the length of contract, but having Kante in and around the club,
need to keep him.
Having Kante in and around the club for as long as possible is probably a more positive move than it is a negative one. For those kind of factors alone. I think he engenders the spirit of hard work, humbleness, and serial winning that we need to make sure that we keep at this squad. We've got 2 World Cup winners in the squad, and that's the mentality we've got to have. Of those guys, and that the mentality should be for everyone who's won the UCL needs to keep their mentality how it is. Everyone who hasn't won necessarily as much yet probably needs to be looking towards Enzo and Kante in terms of how they're going to move forward as in terms of the mentality of the team. So yeah, I think it makes sense for him to sign. Length of it, I think for me it comes down to his fitness levels, but there might be clauses in his contract that are performance related in terms of actual performing, like availability related as well. We don't know the ins and outs of the contract.
No, we don't.
I think it makes sense, that all the contracts we've made so far since January have been really, really smart deals.
Yeah,
in terms
agree.
of what people have been being paid, long-term contracts, performance-related bonuses. It's likely that Kante's will have similar things in them. He just will be more highly paid.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Last question then before we round this out. With Kante and Pulisic possibly coming back, who gets left out of the squad? Yeah, I mean, we know that there's going to be no Aubameyang, no Madueke, no Badiashile in the squad. So those 3 automatically miss out. So those
I think Kante will travel.
Places.
I think Kante will travel and Pulisic won't.
No.
So yeah, it's hard to see who's necessarily. We've got a few players out injured and a few players who are ineligible. So yeah, it's the likes of Madueke who's not available, and Silva.
No Madueke, no Badiashile, Thiago Silva's injured. So those guys will miss out. But I get your point. Like when everyone's fit, some big names are going to miss out on the squad each week. That's just the way it goes when you've got this massive squad, which really needs to be.
Yeah, maybe Mount misses out.
Down. Mount's suspended for Dortmund anyway. So
of course he is. So he won't be. He'll be out of the squad regardless.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of big names who'll be missing out against Dortmund, but we have more than enough quality to hopefully overturn the tie.
No, I agree, mate. Yeah, seems like a good place to round out then, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, as always, in the chat. Really appreciate all of your support and your comments. Please make sure you smash the likes on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Need to get to 3,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. So every new subscriber massively helps. And also, guys, make sure you check out the match vlog from today's game. That's already up on
we
the
won.
channel.
It's worth looking at.
And we won. Yeah, it's worth looking at, guys. It's not depressing. It's upbeat. We scored a goal. So yeah, make sure you go and check that one out on the channel right now. And I will be back Monday with a Dortmund preview. So stay tuned for that one, guys. Make sure you follow Ollie on Twitter as well. Links in the description and it's on his screen name. You can also follow me on Twitter as well. On my display name and link in the description. You can see me chilling with my new pals today on there if you wish to do so. So yeah, please give me a follow on there. But yeah, guys, we won a game. We can go to bed happy. We move on to Tuesday night. Massive game against Dortmund. Let's hope for the best. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Have a great weekend. Up the Chelsea and catch you all again soon.